The Nike Phantom GT has generated quite a lot of hype since it released, and there's probably a lot of you who really want a pair, but not everyone will want or be able to drop 250 euros on the high-end Elite model. Thankfully, Nike have released a wealth of takedown options, meaning that there should be a Phantom GT to suit more or less every budget out there, ranging from 250 euros for the Elite version, 130 euros for the Pro, or 150 for the DF version. You can get the Academy version for 80 euros or 90 euros if you want it with a color, and the Club can be yours for 55 or DF for 65 euros. So today I'm going to take you through the tech of all of these boots, and of course also, most importantly, the differences between all of the price points to hopefully help you find the optimal solution in the Phantom GT for you. And as always, of course, you can buy the boots right now if you click the pop-up on your screen to unisport.com right up there. First up, we have the big baller top dollar version, the Nike Phantom GT Elite, which comes in both a low and a high cut version that is 20 euros more expensive. So in essence, you pay 20 euros for this much more. Flyknit. But apart from the height of the collar, they are essentially the same, and they've been built to give you a really free sensation with awesome grip on the ball. And to do that, Nike used the same type of Flyknit upper, one-piece Flyknit upper that we know from the Mercurial, but they made it slightly wider. And then they used this top silicone coating, which also has the big innovation on the GT, the so-called generative texture, which are basically It's a texture and a pattern that's been generated by computer science, with a little pill sitting all over the top in order to give you the optimal grip and control on the ball when you dribble, shoot, and pass it. Of course, you will also get ACC for equal amounts of grip in both wet and dry conditions, at least that's what Nike claim. But there are also just these little premium things scattered all over the boot, such as the little sticky fins on the Nike swoosh on the toe, the suede heel liner, and then of course you have your open arch P-Bax outsole made to give you aggressive acceleration both when going forwards and sideways. And overall, the Phantom GT Elite is a lovely, really comfortable boot that's just fun on the ball. But remember that if you want a snug fit in these, and I recommend that, go down half a size, not only in the Elite, but in the Pro, the Academy, and the Club versions as well. Now, if 250 or 270 euros is a little bit out of your price range or just your comfort zone for what you want to pay for a pair of football boots, there is also the GT Pro. Now, recently Nike have been putting out some killer boots in the Pro range with the Mercurial Vapor 13 Pro and the Jumbo Legend 8 Pro, and for 130 euros, this definitely follows that trend of giving you decent value for money, because you actually still get a Flyknit upper here, and granted, it's not as stretchy or rich and premium as the Flyknit found on the GT Elite, but it's there and it's actually really nice. But the thing is, to save a bit of money, that the liner, which is the stuff that sits on the inside of the upper, is a so-called non-stretch nylon, meaning that it doesn't have much structural integrity to it. So while the upper on the Pro is super soft and actually softer than on the Elite, it also won't give you much stability or lockdown. So that's kind of the trade-off you have to do. The generative texture is also on the Pro, and while Nike have changed the pattern and the layout a little bit, which I find odd, well, the bumps and the pills are still there. They're slightly bigger though, slightly more rounded, so while you do feel the texture on the ball, it's also a little bit less rough and aggressive, but it does a good job. Generally though, Nike have changed a lot on the Pro. For instance, the heel liner is a little bit more smooth and not as plush anymore, and the overall shape of the boot just isn't as streamlined as it is on the GT Elite. And actually, the Pro is also a little bit wider. And while you do get the same open arch upper wrapping all the way under the sole type of construction, it's a TPU construction instead of a P-Bax outsole, and even the studs here that are split in the middle have been changed a little bit, so it's not going to be as responsive as the Elite in that regard either. So yes, you can tell that the Pro is almost half the price of the Elite, and while Nike, in my opinion, have better value in the Jumbo and Mercurial versions of the Pro, this is still decent and manages to give you somewhat of the experience you might be looking for in the Elite, but at 130 euros. And that's worth something too. As always, the Academy is the next step, where Nike have attempted to squeeze as much value into their 80 or 90 euro, as the DF version is, as humanly possible. The upper here is what Nike call a synthetic leather, although it just looks like synthetic, in a two-piece construction where the tongue, either low or this high-cut version, has been stitched on to the upper itself. The generative texture is also still there, although once again the pills are a little bit bigger and less aggressive and grippy compared to the two more expensive models. And the upper itself is going to have a nice combination of softness and structure once you've broken the boots in. Because it's a little stiff to begin with, to be honest. The outsole here is, as I mentioned, similar to that on the Pro, so it's again made of TPU, but the two blades on the Pro here have been replaced with conical ones on the Academy, which apparently qualifies it to make it multi-ground, meaning that you can use it on both FG and AG surfaces without losing your warranty. And also, the board on the inside of the sole is a little wider, so the base of the boot is going to feel slightly wider compared to the other models. So yeah, you can feel that Nike have had to cut some corners in order to make this boot 80 or 90 euros, but it's never uncomfortable, and while it's not gonna win any awards for lockdown or responsiveness, and it does feel a little bit plasticky, it does a little more than I had expected it to at this price point. Now finally, you can also go for the club version, although it's not something I would recommend personally, because corners have been cut, but they're definitely able to do a job as an entry-level boot, or if you just need something to play in, because it's not exactly uncomfortable, but the materials have just been made thicker. It's a neoprene sock, and they're just gonna feel a little bit chunky and clumsy around your foot. And while you do get the generative texture, it's something you can barely feel or see on the boot. The good thing, however, is that these guys are durable and they can take a beating. So if that's what you're looking for, you can do a lot worse than the 55 or 65 euros for this one. So there you have them, my friends, the Nike Phantom GT line, all the way from cheap to expensive. And you can of course buy all of the boots from the video via the link to unisportstore.com right over there. But if you have any questions or comments on how well Nike have done with the full Phantom GT line, you can let us know in the comment section right down below. You should of course also go and subscribe to the channel with the notifications on if you haven't done so already. And finally, if you want to know more about the Phantom GT Elite, you can go and check out my review right down there. With that said, guys, I'm signing off. Cheerio.